today, well, you've been trending over the last week, and unfortunately, you're not here with us today to sing or dance. Two things you do remarkably well, by the way. But another thing you do remarkably well is explain laws and explain policies. So that's why you're here today. And the Prime Minister, in his statement to the nation yesterday, in his update, gave a general overview of the current state of emergency and what will be happening going forward. And he even mentioned that you would then follow up and give the details of that. So today we're here to get those details. So, Mr. Attorney General, if you would start off, as far as the state of emergency, when does it end, and what will happen when the state of emergency is over? What will happen when this 14-day quarantine effect, that was, I believe, SI 55, that expires this weekend, I believe? Yes. So if you could just go into that, what happens at that point come this weekend?
I think before going into that, Dorian, it would be useful for me to go to the beginning when we first started. That will explain where we are right now. And then by explaining where we are right now, that could give us some insight into hopefully where we will be going next month and June. Now, if you can recall, it seems like years ago, if you can recall, there was a state of emergency with regulations and rules just for San Pedro in the beginning.
Right.
It's when we discovered that the first and second case were in San Pedro. So there was a state of emergency and rules just for San Pedro, just for Ambergris. Then the situation got a little more intense in the city, to the point where we decided to suspend that San Pedro rules and regulations and institute a set of rules for the whole country. And this was April 1st. So April 1st, the Governor General signed a new state of emergency, new rules that would apply not just to San Pedro or to the rest of the country, but the whole country. And so from April 1st to April 30th, we started out with rules for the whole country that we thought would have lasted until the end of this month, the 30th of April. As you know, things got very dicey in the Cayo district. And what we did was amended the regulations that were set from April 1st to April 30th. We amended those to make special rules just for Cayo that were extra strict. So we had the whole country with rules that were strict, and then special rules for Cayo that were extra strict. You remember that? And then the situation got more intense. More cases developed. And so what we essentially did was that we said that from April 11th to April 25th, we would make the entire country be extra strict like Cayo, and then make Sundays be extra strict. You with me so far? So that is where we are right now. We have regulations that started April 1 that will end April 30th. But within that period, we designated April 11th to April 25th as an extra strict period, like we did for Cayo, because we felt that we needed to do that for those 14 days. Those 14 days will end Sunday morning. When we wake up Sunday, we're into new rules and regulations, because the extra strict situation from the 11th to the 25th will come to an end. So what I will be explaining today primarily is what will be the rules when we get up Sunday morning till we go sleep Thursday night.
Okay, because at that point, Thursday night, the state of emergency, this current state of emergency expires.
Right, so what happened now, remember, what I'll be saying today when it comes to laws will be the law when you wake up Sunday morning till you go sleep Thursday night.
Okay.
Come Friday morning, we may have to come right back here, Dorian, because Friday is May 1st, and new rules may be in place next week Friday.
Well, we would want you here on Thursday.
Well, no problem. Whichever day is best. But I just want to recap that. What I'll be talking about today in terms of rules and regulations, that just from Sunday when you wake up until Thursday when you go sleep. It's been mentioned, so let me give an overview of it and say something quickly about it. In the news, and according to the Prime Minister's statement, the National Assembly will meet on Monday to extend the state of emergency because the Governor General could only have said state of emergency for 30 days, April 1 to April 30th. But only the National Assembly can extend that to any further period of time. So the House will meet on Monday and the Senate will meet on Tuesday to confirm extending the state of emergency period to the end of June, June 30th. Now let me say something very, very fundamental about that. First of all, not because it is extended for 2 months means that it must go for the 2 months. You understand me? It could only go for a month, you know. It could only go for 6 weeks. How long it will go depends on where we are with the disease. And so, let me back up even a little before that. Even though it will be for 2 more months, May 1 to June 30th, the important thing is not the fact that we are in a state of emergency. The most important thing is what will be the rules during that time. Now, the rules can go either way, one of 2 ways. If between now, today, and next week Friday, May 1st, for example, we have no more cases, we continue to have 0 cases every day, and clearly it will show that we have some control over the situation, then the rules from May 1 to end of June could be very loose. You understand? If all of a sudden between now and next week Friday, we have 100 cases or 50 cases come upon us, then the rules between May 1 and June 30th could be fairly strict. We have not yet completed the rules from May 1 to June 30th because we have to look to see what will happen between now and May 1st. You there with me? You understand where they are? So then, what we have facing us now then is to just explain once again what will be the law when we wake up Sunday morning until we go sleep Thursday night. What I'm reading today could change next week Friday. You understand me? So what I'm reading today will just be what will last for 5 days. Now, another thing that I must make very, very clear from the very, very beginning. Even though we are doing well in managing the situation, we are anything but out of the woods. We're not in the all clear. And I listened to the Prime Minister's presentation about 1,000 times yesterday. And I don't know how people can come away with that thinking that the man said that it will be a free-for-all. No, that's not the case. There is no free-for-all from now till Sunday morning. There will be no free-for-all from Sunday morning to April 30th. Absolutely not. There will still be very, very strict rules up to April 30th. And depending upon what happens between now and May 1st, that will determine how the rules will be between May 1st and June 30th. You understand? Good. So now let me get into the laws right away unless you have any questions about what I just said.
No, we'll get the questions later, but no, that was very clear to me, Attorney General.
Okay, good then. Thank you. Now, when we wake up Sunday morning, let me deal with that right away. This Sunday, 2 days from now, will not be that strict Sunday that we've been having the last 2 Sundays. So this Sunday, shop will open, gas station will open, you could move to help elderly people with their homes and stuff. Sunday will be just like Monday to Saturday, starting this Sunday until next week, Friday.
So we can exercise 7 days a week now.
So you can exercise Sunday morning, 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock if you want. This Sunday, you could go to a shop. Pharmacies will be open. Remember previously, on a Sunday, only the 24-hour places could open along with essential services. Right. Now, fishing for livelihood could take place. Productive sector places can open. Manufacturers can open on a limited basis. So Sunday will be a regular Sunday, for a lack of a better way to put it. It won't be extra strict. It will be just as strict as the other 6 days. Is that clear? So now that is what I wanted to say right away when it comes to this Sunday. Now, let me tell you what will happen when you wake up Sunday until you go sleep Thursday night. Certain things we have to remember. Yes, given that from April to 11th to April to 25th, one done, there will be a slight relaxation of the laws, but not a free-for-all. And come May 1st, it could be even more relaxed, but we don't know yet. So let me tell you now what will be the law April 26th to April 30th. And I will do, Dorian, because of the confusion that's in the public right now, I will simply just have to go over everything so that people can understand what is still in place, what is still applicable, what you still have to abide by. Firstly, if you remember last week, we had a curfew for children, right? Where if you're a child below the age of 16, you could only dip on the street between 8 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. That will remain in place. So come 4 p.m. on Sunday, if you're under 16, you need for the home. Come Sunday night, 8 o'clock, the curfew is still in place.
No.
So from 8 the night, Sunday night, till 5 the morning, Monday morning, when they come right so, it's a curfew. You're not allowed to be on the street unless you're the police, BDF, Coast Guard, Customs, Immigration, nurse or doctor who are on duty. Curfew, not change. We still have curfew. If you're there out 9 at night and you're not a person who is supposed to be out 9 at night, Sunday night, you're going to jail. Because the curfew is still in effect. Those are 2 major things I want to mention right away. 2 major things I want to mention. The curfew is still in effect. And the curfew will be in effect right up to next week, Thursday night, when you go sleep. It will be in effect right up to then. What will happen May 1st and beyond, we don't know yet. We might keep the curfew. We might deal away with the curfew. We don't know yet. It depends on what happens. What I can tell you, up until the end of this month, we still have curfew. Now, you wanted to say something, Dorian?
No, go ahead. But, I mean, and even if you have one of those special passes,
remember, no sweetheart pass. It's actually a very catchy tune.
okay.
It's actually a very catchy tune. Now, let me go over the rules as we have them here. The curfew is in place. The exceptions. Now, during the hours of 5 the morning and 8 the night, beginning this Sunday, from 5 the morning to 8 the night, you can only be outside for the same reasons that you could only be outside with from before, like now. You can only be outside and about come Sunday if you're purchasing essential needs, if you're attending for medical or veterinary attention, if you have an emergency, especially a medical emergency, if you are an essential worker or employee of an approved business going to and from work, if you are a home health care provider of services to sick, disabled, elderly, and children only going to and from work, and you're acting as an essential worker, but not limited to security guards, whether by foot or a delivery person or something like that. So then, even though Sunday, it will not be as strict as it is today, come Sunday, you could still only be outside for essential purposes. Purchasing essential needs, medical attention, emergencies, an essential worker, home health care provider. Those are the only people, or for the only purposes, for which you can be outside. Come Sunday, it is not a free-for-all. That's not what the Prime Minister said. As you said earlier, Dorian, between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m., people are restricted to the movement for the purposes of jogging, running, or walking only for exercise.
And let me be clear, because
no cycling,
okay, thank you.
No gymnastics, no nothing like that. Walking, running, or jogging only. Keep getting questions about bicycling, and I understand the question, but it is not allowed at this point. Provided as well, and this is something that will also kick in come Sunday, you will be allowed to exercise, but a very important thing will change. And it is not so draconian because people have already been practicing it in certain businesses. You have to maintain a minimum of 6 feet distance between people, not 3. 6 feet. Come Sunday, if you're jogging, 6 feet you have to remain apart from each other. No. When we say movement, we mean foot, car, anything like that. Mule and cat, anything like that. An officer of the security services after Sunday, or beginning Sunday, could still stop you and question you. Where are you going? Are you going out for an essential purpose? If the answer is no, you will be committing an offense and you will be charged. Remember, this is what will be in place when you wake up Sunday until next week Thursday. It is not a free-for-all. We are not freeing up anything. We are still under a state of emergency with strict rules. Now, another important aspect of this is this. If you live the Cayo and you're going the Belize district, and Belmopan is a part of the Cayo district, by the way. If you live in the Cayo district and you're going to Belize and the police stop you in Hattieville, you have to demonstrate to that officer that you are going to Belize district because you're either purchasing essential needs, attending for medical attention, emergency, you're an essential worker or employee of an essential service, home health care provider, or something to the effect. If you live in the Cayo district, or even if you live in Belmopan, and what you need can be obtained in Belmopan, you need to get it from Belmopan and stay at Belmopan. If you have a special medicine that you need that is only you can only buy it at the city and you live at Belmopan, then you're allowed to go for that. But you are still not allowed to leave your municipality unless you have to for what you do, or for an emergency, or for an urgent need that you may have. So you still can't go the Orange Walk for Taco Sunday.
But what's important?
I ain't no grieve nobody more or you grieve me. But you still cannot travel across any locality if it is not for an essential purpose. That will still be the law come Sunday.
And AG, like you said, you must be able to demonstrate that at the checkpoint.
You must be able to demonstrate that to the officer.
Some sort of documentation or such.
Something to that effect. Or you know what? Let me pause here and say this. Because people they confuse the sweetheart pass with one regular pass. No.
There's a difference?
Yes, it's a very big difference.
Okay.
We have done it in the AG's ministry. Our management team decided to issue IDs for each person who works at the AG ministry. And the AG ministry is an essential service. So if some member of staff is traveling to Belize City with an AG ministry ID, and the Hattieville police ask her, who you? Sir, I work for the AG's ministry and if you got to Belize City, go do something. How I know you work for AG's ministry? Sir, send me ID, yeah? Say I work for AG ministry. That is a pass, that is a ID that will allow you to move because you're essential from 5 the morning till 8 the night. That ID for where you work not apply after 8 o'clock the night. Come 8 o'clock, the fact that you work at the AG's ministry no means you could be out after 8 the night. Because even though you're essential, you're only supposed to be out between 5 the morning and 8 the night. But the ID will help the police officers facilitate you better during the non-curfew hours, which is 5 to 8 the night. You there with me so far, Dorian? Or you not there with me?
No, I'm following.
Okay, good.
Plainly.
Now, and the essential services people are the people listed in Schedule 1. So when we say essential services, we mean 22 people, 22 set of people. Ministry of National Security, Department of Border Management and Immigration Services, Customs and Excise, Cabinet members and members of the National Assembly, medical and auxiliary services. Then you have, which include ambulance clinics, Forest Department, Department of the Environment, National Meteorological Service, NEMO, Private Security Services, Public Utility Workers, Social Workers, Sanitation Workers, Productive Sector Industry people. So if you own a shrimp farm, for example, which is my favorite example, and you're traveling from Stan Creek to Corozal to deliver the shrimp, your company should give you an ID to say that you work for the shrimp company. So when the policeman they stop you at the Armida or Belmopan and ask you, where you going? Sir, I'm going to deliver shrimp. Well, who you work for? Such and such a place. How I know that? They have an ID. That will allow it to be much easier when they move from 5 the morning till 8 the night. But I repeat, that ID doesn't help you after 8 p.m. As well, media, the Governor General's Office, the National Fire Service, BEL, BWSL, BTL, SpeedNet. Those are the services that are deemed essential. If you're not one of those, you are not essential. No, you're not essential from a sort of public sector standpoint, because even though BTL and SpeedNet are not government companies, they are a public utility that everybody uses. So those are the list of essential services, and now we will get into very shortly the places and places of businesses that are private that are deemed to be essential during this period. Now, from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m., notice we will be increasing back the hours for certain people to open. When you wake up Sunday morning, fuel stations, gas stations, butane places, agro-processors, food manufacturers, and factories of carbonated and other beverages, including spirits, will be open from 5 to 7. So people who make rum, people who make beer, come Sunday morning, you will be able to now open and operate from 5 in the morning till 7 at night. Remember, they were closed down for the last 14 years. They will be able to open again on Sunday. Agricultural and aquaculture farms, fishing for livelihood and sustenance, but not including sport fishing and leisure fishing. Only fishermen who fishing for a living will be allowed to continue to fish. So come Sunday morning, I'm sorry, my friends with boats who want to catch 1, 2 marlin for sport, you still cannot do that. You still cannot do that. Nobody loves sandbar more than me. You can't go to sandbar yet. We're not there yet. Waste disposal and sanitation, productive sectors, like I just said, water production and agricultural people, they can operate from 5 till 7. Public transportation providers will now be allowed to operate again. And when we say public transportation providers, you talk about bus, water taxi, the planes them like Maya or Tropic. They can now move, but let me make a clarification again. If you're traveling on a water taxi, bus, or a small plane, you still can't leave Belize City to casually go hang out at the split the Kikaka this Sunday. We're not there yet. You can only use that to go to Kikaka if you have one of the things I read earlier. If you're going there for an essential purpose, for medical reasons, or for something that you have to do. We are not at the stage as yet where we can be casual. We're not there yet. Hopefully, we can get there very soon. And if we continue the way we're going, we will get there. But we're not there yet. No. From construction, very important as well. From 5 to 7, construction and construction sites are now once again allowed to operate from 5 in the morning till 7 at night. Come Sunday, they will be able to do that right up until next week, Thursday. Now, remember, Dorian, when shop used to open 8 to 7, and we drop it back to 8 to 4, now we're bringing it up back again. Pharmacies, markets, convenience stores, so that shop and a place there can now open from 8 in the morning till 7 at night. Once again. Once again, hotels and those places can only open for maintenance, for the staff to go in, to keep the place up and running, so that eventually when we can open them, they were kept fresh in the meantime. But for now, they're not open to the public for you to go and stay there. Who knows? Maybe come May 1st, if we continue in this way, maybe, I don't know, just maybe, local people will then be able to go and book a hotel and then you can stay there. Maybe. We don't know yet. That will be determined by how we perform between now and May 1st. But for now, till the end of this month, you can't go to no hotel for staying there. You can't go chill at San Pedro, unfortunately, or Placencia, or any one of those places in the mountains. Not as yet. As well, if you have a restaurant in the hotel, though, the restaurant can open in the hotel strictly for delivery, takeout, or drive-through if you have that facility. Because we're opening up back restaurants on Sunday. So come Sunday, the restaurants again could open, but still only for drive-through, delivery, or pickup. Storefront outlets for public utility companies. And when we say public utility companies, we mean water, light, phone, cable, and internet providers. They will be allowed to open solely for the purposes of bill collection. So if you want to go pay your bill, that the WASA or BL, WASA no, BWSL or BL or BTL or any of the companies I just listed, you can now do that because they will be open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Financial institutions like banks and stuff, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mechanic shops, garages, and auto parts stores are now allowed to open again for the public. Not just to supply like before, but now they can open now again fully from 8 to 7. Then I mentioned earlier the restaurants and the hotel, but now all restaurants over the country can now open from 8 in the morning to 7 at night for delivery, takeout, and drive-through if you have that facility. DHL, Federal Express, and Amerijet, those will be open from 8 to 7. Domestic delivery services or pickup of goods and meals by social service organizations and volunteer groups operating under the auspices of the ministry responsible for human development will be able to open from 8 in the morning till 7 at night. This will cover all of the social distribution that's been happening with food pantry and food assistance and stuff like that. You can now open the pantry from 8 in the morning till 7 at night. You don't must stay there till 7 at night, but if you have to, you do. If you're done by 4, you could go home, but you are allowed now to distribute those things between 8 in the morning and 7 at night. Wholesalers of goods and services, that hasn't changed. If you're a wholesaler, just for now, it may get better for you come May 1st. But until then, you are still only allowed to fill orders to your retailers and stuff who are essential businesses. And if you're a wholesaler and a retailer, doesn't mean that you can open as the retail side of the business while you close the wholesale side of the business. You will be treated as a wholesaler, and so therefore you can only supply to refill orders made by people, but your doors have to remain closed from now until next week Thursday, for now. The Belize Zoo and the Tropical Education Center will remain open from 8 in the morning till 7 at night. Hardware stores will be able to once again operate only to deliver hardware material, primarily for construction sites and works. Hardware storefronts cannot open as yet. That may change May 1st, but for now, between Sunday and next week Thursday, hardware stores can start to supply the people who need the stuff from them to do the works that they need to accomplish. Now, between the hours of 9 and 4, all the offices listed in Schedule 2 will be open again, which are mostly government departments. Government departments, some of them will be allowed to open once again for 9 to 4 to the public. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, food mills, sugar industry and other food production, oil and drilling, port operations and services connected with the loading and unloading of ships and delivery to and from ports, public utilities and independent energy producers which provide energy. Those will allow to be open 24 hours a day as per before. Now, I want to repeat, to the chagrin of my darling mother, that casinos and gaming establishments will remain closed. They can't open none at all. Spas, beauty salons and barbershops, closed. Gymnasium, sporting complex, closed. Discotheque, bar, rum shops and nightclubs, closed. I see with the party virtually now, our thing, that the only way we could party for right now, those things remain closed. Now, this remains, Dorian. If you are running a business, shop, convenience store, whatever is you are allowed to open under this law, there is no limit as to how many people can go into your grocery store, because it depends on the size of your grocery store. You are only allowed to have people in that store as long as they are 6 feet apart from each other. If they want to line up outside, they have to be 6 feet apart from each other. So the social distancing protocols remain, they don't change. We still have to maintain 6 feet apart from each other, and we still have to make sure that in the store we are 6 feet apart from each other. Let me continue. Now, this does not change. An employer has an obligation to allow people to work from home if they can work from home. If you are a government office listed in Schedule 2, or you're an essential service listed in Schedule 1, and you can have some of your people work remotely from home, then you have an obligation to continue to do that. We are not yet back to normal. I cannot emphasize that enough, Dorian. We are not back to pre-COVID-19. We're still very much in the thick of it. So if you have 10 employees and 10 of them don't have to today, 2 of them could stay home, or 3 of them could stay home, you have an obligation as an employer to make them stay home. And if you are forcing people to come to work physically in the same building, under the same room, in the same space, and you don't have to do that, you will be committing an offense as an employer. It's very important for me to remind people of that. And when you are at work, those businesses that are allowed to open, your employees have to be 6 feet apart. So how many employees you can accommodate in your building will be determined by the space you have. So the smaller your place is, the more likely you will have to allow people to work from home, because then you will be allowed to have less people in the shop given the space requirements. And we want to remind people as well, if your employer allows you to work from home, you're not there on holiday, you're the workman. You're the work. So if the employer allows you to stay home and work, you're the work. You're dead at work, You're not there on holiday, because a lot of people think the holiday. No, it's just that for the purposes of making sure we don't spread this disease, we are maintaining as much distance as possible. I'm sorry, even though we will be relaxing when you wake up Sunday, you can't have no private party at your house yet, except if you want to do it with who don't live in your house. We're not allowed to barbecue at each other's house. We're not allowed to hang out yet. We're not there yet. We may get there come May 1st, but we're not there yet. From now till the end of April, we still cannot do those things because we are not in the all clear as yet. No recreational or competitive sporting event. If you must get married, and I think for some people it's a great excuse to say, boy, I'm going to put this off because we're in a COVID-19. If you must get married, you cannot have more than 10 people other than the bride, groom, witness, and marriage officer.
Cheap wedding?
Very, very cheap. It's a good time to get married, actually. You get a banquet, ball, or a reception. Any social event of any kind. We have been working very closely with the churches, and they've been very cooperative. No public mass, that still is not allowed as yet. Funeral, only 10 members of the immediate family. You cannot have meetings of lodges or private or social clubs. So you see, even though we are relaxing it back a bit starting Sunday, we are still very strict leading up to April 30th. I repeat, it may change come May 1st, but we don't know yet. Notwithstanding anything in the regulation, cargo flights can still come in on cargo shipments, commercial courier flights, emergency medical flights approved by the Director of Health Services, and emergency flights approved by the Minister. No. Earlier I said no. Once again, we could travel by bus, plane, or boat for the purposes of essential services, or even if you're a non-essential person, but you have an emergency or something like that, then you are allowed to move by land, air, sea. However, every person on any of those public transportation vessels, you must wear a cloth or other face mask or face covering during the duration of your travel. So if you're going from James bus line from PG to Belize City now, you must put on one face mask for as long as you're there on a bus. If you're going on a plane, if you're going on a boat, if you're going on a bus, if you're going on a taxi or one of the dollar van or busito, if you want to get on there, you must have on one mask. You understand that, Dorian? You must wear one mask.
Loud and clear.
You must have whoever is providing these transportation means, the airline, the boat people, the bus people at your terminal. You must have facilities where people can wash their hands also, and you must wipe down your boat or your plane or your automobile so that it can be sanitized before people get on that vessel. This is still in place, so you have to wear masks now if you want to ride bus, boat, or plane that's public transportation. Now, still, and this is the thing that is most important for people to remember, the borders are still closed. No Belizean shall be allowed entry through any port of entry. So not even one Belizean could come to Belize right now unless you're returning from abroad with proof of having received urgent medical care. So if you need urgent medical care right now and you go tomorrow and you need to come back into the country Wednesday, you have to prove before you're allowed in next Wednesday that you are returning from some urgent medical care that you had to get abroad. And even if you do that, you are required to make sure that you are fully analyzed by the health department, and if they determine you have to go on a quarantine, then you will go on a quarantine at your expense. So if you're returning abroad from urgent medical care, or if you are required to be in Belize to assist health officials in urgent medical situations, and you're a Belizean, you can come in. But once you come into the country, you have to be subjected to whatever the Ministry of Health says you have to be subjected to, no exceptions. You may be placed at your own expense in quarantine at a place to be determined by the Ministry of Health for a period to be determined by the Ministry of Health. And if you develop flu-like symptoms right now still, living in Belize, you have an obligation to report it to the Ministry of Health, especially if you believe that you've been in contact with somebody who has traveled abroad. And I think given the length of time we've been in this, nobody should be amongst anybody right now who just come from States last week. Because then how you get here? You understand me? But just in case you have been, then you need to immediately report to the ministry so that they can decide what to deal with, how to deal with you. Now, let me repeat again that another law that remains in place. No medical officer employed by the government of Belize during the period of public emergency shall engage in independent private practice. So that remains in place. So if you're a doctor or nurse who is fully employed by the government of Belize, the government of Belize, you are not allowed to work in independent private practice for now. Why? We want everybody who's working for the government to be on deck, ready to serve the Belizean public in general. I'll continue. And if you are a private doctor, even though you can't work for the public right now, if you're a, when I say public, I mean for the government. If you're a private doctor and somebody comes into your hospital and they are displaying COVID-like symptoms, even if you decide to treat that person at your private clinic, you must report that case to the Ministry of Health. Let me see as we begin to wrap up here. All that I have said, if anybody violates anything that I have said, so everything where I say you can't do, if you still do it and the police catch you and you go to court and you're found guilty, you are liable on summary conviction to a fine of $5,000 or to imprisonment for 2 years. But if you are convicted of a second offense, you can't pay no fine. You just go in jail for 2 years. So if you get catch during curfew and you get fined, if they catch you again next week, you go in jail. There's no fine. You go straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. You go to jail.
So repeat offenders is...
Repeat offenders, you go to jail. No. And if you look at the rest of the document, that's pretty much it as far as what we're looking at between now, when we wake up Sunday morning and when we go sleep Thursday night. All of what I've just said is what will apply Sunday morning to next week Thursday night. Come May 1st, we may have different rules that will last from May 1 to a maximum of June 30th. We may have new rules, and those rules will be determined by what happens between now and then. So hopefully, we do very well between now and May 1st, that we can have a set of laws on May 1st that will be even looser than what I just said, but at the same time, not too loose, so we can protect ourselves from this so-called novel disease. So I don't know if you have any questions to what I've said, Dorian. I think I've covered what will be the law going into when you wake up Sunday morning up to when you go sleep next week Thursday night.
Well, I think you were very thorough and very clear. However, we still have questions, and I think there are some nuances where people aren't necessarily clear on, and that's why we provide this forum for them to ask those questions. So we have quite a bit of questions, or a whole heap of questions, as Jamaicans would say. So
you see, I want to say this, Donald. When I get a lot of questions, it seems to me that people wrongly lump together agreement with understanding, right? Some people only understand you if they agree with you, I'm saying, you may not agree with what the law will be, but that is different from you understanding what I just said. You could understand but not agree. But that don't mean you don't understand, you understand.
Right.
But go ahead.
Well, and there are some where people have legitimate, where
Of course,
there might be some gray areas, and there are some where people just literally want to do what they want to do. But so let's get into this. I believe you. Well, let me start here. So, will government offices be open on Monday now?
Yes, government offices will be open on Monday. Office of the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, AG's Ministry, the Judiciary of Belize, Ministry of Health, Human Development, Food and Agriculture, Ministry of the Public Service, Works, Department of Transport, Press Office. I don't think this ever closed.
No, we
Belize
24/7.
Gazette, Bureau of Standards, Tax Services, Carl Hushner, Office of the DPP, Treasury Department, Central Bank of Belize, Department of Civil Aviation, Belize Airports Authority, Belize Agricultural Health Authority, BAHA, Belize Marketing and Development Corporation, Social Security Board, city councils and town councils, and diplomatic missions.
Okay.
These will be open on Monday from 9 to 4.
Okay, but not the Ministry of Natural Resources.
Not the Ministry
That's
of
not
Natural
on the list.
Resources.
So
That's
it's
an
not.
essential
It's not.
service at this point.
Okay, so it's not all government ministries, just those that are
Just
essential
some of them,
services.
just some of those
Okay.
that we deem to be
So, and-
essential in fighting COVID-19.
And let's be clear, these are in. This is what's in effect up until Thursday,
Thursday night when you go sleep.
right?
When you wake up Friday morning, this list may expand. We don't know. But from this Sunday when you wake up till next week Thursday, lands now open.
Okay. Will the water taxis be running back and forth come Monday,
They can start to run back and forth come Sunday.
Sunday? But it would have to be for
But
essential.
remember, whoever is getting on those water taxes must be moving for an essential purpose. If you are jump on water taxi Sunday, then not forget that key go chill. That forget that key because you purchase something essential, that key where you can't get ya. You're the attend key for medical purposes. You're the attend key because you may have an emergency such as you have a grandmother out there and she's dying and you need to go and get her to bring her back to the hospital. You are an essential employee or worker, like a worker will work for BL or BWSL or whatever, or you are a healthcare provider. If you're not any of these people, or if you're not any of these people but not going for those purposes, you cannot get on the board. We are not open for casual business as yet. It's only for these purposes that you could go up on one train, I would say plane, train,
Train
or
to
automobile.
automobile,
It's
right.
only for these purposes you can get on a boat, a plane, or one bus.
Okay. Was national immigration on there for like nationality and passport services?
This is for Schedule 1
Yes.
or Schedule 2.
Yes.
But then I
That's
realized
what the
I don't-
essential government services. So no passport services or nationality services at this time.
you can't go
The point we're going,
no
right?
way. You
Yeah.
can't- the borders are closed.
Okay, great. Vital statistics is vital statistics
Yes,
still
Vital
available?
Statistics falls under the Attorney General's Ministry. We will be open from 9 to 4 on
Okay.
Monday.
Okay, if you're from San Pedro and got stuck in Belize City, can you go back home now?
If you live in San Pedro,
And you got stuck in Belize City somehow during this 14-day when no water taxis are operating, you're free to go back home now to
Yeah.
San Pedro.
well, let's make a special yes, I would say yes, you can go. However, you know, people don't get smart, you know. You will have to prove that you never there. You have to prove you may live there, you know. And you have to prove that indeed you were stuck here for a month or 14 years. You know what? The police will not buy some cacambo story because you sneak in the night before and you need to go back home. You may be detained and questioned as to why you never got home all this time. Because we have been making special arrangements for people to leave San Pedro to come back to Belize City and Cayo, and special arrangements for people who have been leaving Belize City to go to San Pedro. If all of a sudden, no, you want to go back because you must stop the Belize City, we have to seriously question you. If you try to get cute, you're going to jail. I'm repeating it because we have to protect people out there. We're not open for casual travel.
Well, maybe they may try beat the sweetheart past time.
Well, then you know you get catch.
Okay, so going back to government offices, can we differentiate between operational and open to the public? Because I know some offices are listed in Schedule 2 there. They're operational, but are they open to the public?
Yes, they will be open to the public.
Okay,
They will be open to the public from 9 to 4.
okay, very good. Okay, if someone does not have a storefront for a bakery, but has a registered business where they sell baked goods, can they drive around and sell their wares?
So they're not a bakery.
No.
So they don't deliver bread.
Well, they're not a bakery, they don't have a storefront, but they have a registered company where they sell baked goods.
So they retail bread.
Well, not necessarily bread, but it could be pastries or such.
They will be open. They will be determined to be a convenience store or a food shop.
Okay, but
they will open from 8 in the morning till 7 at night.
well, they're saying they don't have a storefront, so can they deliver their wares?
So what are they, a wholesaler? They're a
No,
retailer? They're
just
what?
probably like a home business. Maybe somebody with neck pie, jam roll or bun, and then they
So
sell.
somebody at home make food.
Yes, can they deliver that? Can they make deliveries if they're
So
selling?
somebody they home and they sell food home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you could deliver that, or people can come to your house to buy it and take it out. But then, if you're doing that, you should be a registered business.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
You
Yeah.
need to be a registered.
Well, they said they're registered.
If you're a registered business operating from home, then you're allowed to open. You're a
Okay.
registered business. And if you are primarily serving food, people then would just come to that place, pick up food and carry, or it can be delivered. Yes.
Okay, Gina, I've seen this. This pops up quite a bit actually, with respect to the post office. I believe people are saying that the post office is not listed there as essential.
No man, post office falls under the Ministry of Transport.
Okay, so Ministry of Transport. Okay,
Yes.
so now, what's the
Postmaster General would have said, we transport mail, we of course we not transport.
Right.
So none of the post office is open under the Ministry of Transport.
Okay, good. What's the current function of the post office and mail delivery services, especially for sending medical supplies? So, are postmen or women, are they delivering mail right now? Is that
Well, they're open if you want to transfer primarily medical supplies. But I don't know the last time somebody has sent a local mail with a postman, I believe. Well, last was a postman, right? The postman still go about
Yes,
and
man,
deliver
yes,
the post
man.
out. And so what happened is I don't see a postman goodbye.
Well, they
and
make
then when
sure-
the smile used to look out for the postman come and send you only 25 states and so. But a long time up I am gone on
then
postman.
deliver my
But if
bill?
the post office is open, they will be allowed to operate.
Okay, good. So, okay. Well, this question has already got answered with regards to hairdressers and barber shops.
Close.
Closed.
So no. In fact, I cannot say no.
Okay. Retail and retail
That
fruit.
look natural for the rest of the period.
Yes.
But who knows? That may open May 1st, but we don't know
But
yet.
we don't know. But as from now
Now
until
till next week,
Thursday.
Thursday, barber shop, nail salon, any place there, closed.
Okay. Retail fruit and vegetable vendors, those
Yes.
persons.
Well, you have your market and fruit vendors and stuff, 8 to 7.
Okay, a lot of questions I see here have been.
Agricultural produce, fish, meat, they're open 8 to 7.
Okay. Woodwork like carpenters and welding shops. Where do they fall under? Does that fall under construction?
No, they're not allowed to open yet.
Okay, so woodworks and welding shops are still remain closed
They
for
still
this
remain
period.
closed. Like I said, they may free up come May 1st, but for now, no. They're not
Okay.
deemed to be essential.
Now, another question here is, let me bring it up because I've been bombarded with questions. Okay, so a person, let me just give you the gist of the question. The person lives in Belmopan, owns a house in Belize City. And they have not been to Belize City since March 30th, since this has been since March 20th, sorry, since the state of emergency has been in effect. Would they be able to go and check on their house in Belize City, especially after the blackout and such? They want to make sure that everything's okay with their property in Belize City. How does that work?
I mean, we're really getting into a lot of.
Yeah,
I mean, it is not essential that you do that at this point. Please ask somebody to pass by the house and see if every will just go out there and get COVID-19 and then you can't check on no house where you have. So better just left that one right there, Belize City for right now for at least another week or so.
Okay. So now, for people in Corozal, in the Corozal rural area, in that area, Shanush, Kapabank, Sartaneja, where there's a ferry, No, the ferry, I believe it was only operational in the 14 days between 7 and 12 p.m. Will that then will that now change? Do you have any information on that?
No, that's a transportation by land.
So that would then
water,
be...
and the charges are fair. You see, if you look at the definition of public transportation in the SI, it says, any form of transportation available to the public which runs on fixed or established routes and charges are fair. So a ferry is a part of that.
Okay. Are mechanics allowed to travel across districts if it is for the purpose of transporting a vehicle or purchasing a part?
Well, if they're allowed to open and you can only get the part at, say, well, famous Spanish Lookout, if you're a mechanic in Belize City and you're allowed to open and you can go to Spanish Lookout for the part for the vehicle, if it can be determined that you must have that vehicle for use right now. You can't say, what, I've been waiting to get a service or so many, I don't really need it, but I want it anyway. I mean, is it essential that you do that? No. And if it is essential that you do not know, because if you don't have your car, you can't go to work, then go to the mechanic, and the mechanic will be allowed to move across boundaries to get the part that you need for your car. Yes.
Okay.
But only if you can't get it to Belize City, if you're not a mechanic to Belize City. If you're not a mechanic to Belize City, and you could get it to Belize City, please get it from there. Don't go across the locality if you don't have to.
Okay. I received another question from someone who has a wholesaling operation in the north.
A wholesaling operation in the north. Yes.
They supply businesses all the way in PG.
Right.
That is a whole day of travel. So what they're saying is it's not enough time to go all the way from the north, all the way to the south, deliver and get back before curfew.
Then spend the night at PG, brother.
Hotels are not open.
Right, but then you know what? Find out when you have a business in PG. If the person would have a business or something in PG, or a house or some accommodation in PG. If you leave at 5 in the morning, how long will it take you to get to PG?
From Corozal?
Yes.
I'd say about 5 hours.
Okay, so let's be generous. You get there at midday. Is it going to take you more than 3 hours to deliver yourself before you go back to Corozal for 8 p.m.? Just listen. If you have to get back to Corozal at 8 p.m., then it means you have to leave Corozal sharp 5 o'clock. Leave 5, get to PG by 10, deliver your stuff between 10 and 12, have lunch to 1, drive back, you'll be back to Corozal by 6. Remember, you know, if you have to deliver stuff, you're not a lollygan, you know. You're the purposeful move. You go, you deliver your stuff, you drop your stuff off. I know PG, you know. PG not that big and you know that big. Deliver your stuff, drop your stuff off, and head back out. Okay. I don't see. If you have a situation where it's absolutely necessary, then the EOC and Colonel Lovell will make arrangements for the police to be informed to allow you to move after 8 p.m. But we cannot yet imagine a scenario where you can't move off at 5 p.m. and not be back at 8 p.m. from any part of this country to any part of this country.
Well, also, when they go to PG, they also they usually take all cargo for the south, so they'll stop in Dangerga and Placencia and Mango Creek at the same time to try to get everything.
So then, Dorian, it's simple. Everybody has to make a sacrifice. Your business, even if it's allowed to open, will not run as smoothly or, regrettably not as profitably as it did before. You have to understand then that while we're in this emergency, you may have to skip Mango Creek, or you may have to make a separate trip from Mango Creek, because we are all making sacrifices, I say this because I want to repeat this again. If you're a business that's been deemed an essential service and you're operating, be grateful that even though you may suffer some inconveniences, you're still operating, you know. You have some people can't operate at all. Some people can't operate at all. So if you're operating, understand that as long as we're in a COVID-19 period, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be not as good as before for now. But we just have to deal with it until we're past this situation. In the meantime, we all have to make our adjustments. And we ask the business people, especially those who have to deliver and get back home, make the adjustment to accommodate the curfew period.
I completely understand you. I'm just the voice of the people
No,
here.
I understand.
Okay. So services like BPMS, FedEx, DHL, are they able to operate? They don't.
Yes.
They're not under the Ministry of Transport, but are they?
No,
essential?
they're put in here in the from 5 to 7. They're in here. They can operate. Special provision was made for them, so they can operate.
We've had this question before, but housekeeping and yard maintenance.
No, not yet.
You have to clean your house yourself.
You clean your house yourself. Not yet. No, people know. Remember now, you are allowed to go to a person's house to help a person who is elderly, who is sick, disabled, or a child, so to take care of them. And hopefully you can have a person who, when they go there to take care of that person, part of their duty is to clean or cook or whatever. But if it's not the case, then that person will only be able to look after the elderly person or the sick or the disabled or a child, while you will have to take care of that for now. Like I said, that may change in the future, but for now, not as yet.
Okay, so daycare centers,
Not as yet.
because you have an essential worker who has to go to work. How will
Right,
they get?
and
how
that is
will
why we
care for
have
their
children
child?
in there. That is why we have children. So we're making accommodation for a babysitter.
Okay,
If you
but
look
not a
at-
daycare center.
Not a daycare center where you have many children in one room, and not as yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. But we are allowing people to go to houses, and in the law is contemplated now for you to have a babysitter while you are at work if that's what you require.
Okay. Can you clarify if Mennonites, I mean, we asked, I'm sorry, well, I've already started the question, so let me finish it, but I feel like this is answered already. Can you clarify if Mennonites are allowed to deliver their carpentry to Belize City?
No, it's not an essential services. It's not an essential service.
Okay.
You could wait one little while before you get a nightstand, man. Right now, we're in a COVID-19. That's not essential.
In regards to construction sites, how many people are allowed on the sites? For bigger sites, there's sometimes upwards of 75 workers on a site at a time. Is that allowed from a social distancing
It could be a
standpoint?
million a day, as long as they're 6 feet apart.
So,
So if your place only this big, you can't have a million.
but if I need one hammer, I have to ask
Yeah, but then you have to find a way to wear gloves and anything and protect yourself too, or throw the hammer or something, but you must be 6 feet apart. If you cannot operate with that 6 feet apart, then better not operate.
Okay.
Because if you're not maintaining the social distancing, and the police sees that, they can arrest you.
Okay, this person is asking if they can open their shop for a few hours. They do printing and sell essential school materials.
Not yet.
Not yet, okay,
yet.
so we won't go any
That
further.
may change. Let's wait and see what. And you see, let me say this, Dorian. The government is dying to open this economy back, you know. But it must be done in a safe way. You can't just open it, you have to be safe. No. How fast and how much we loosen the situation depends on how we behave. So if we maintain our social distancing, be careful, sanitize ourselves, then that will naturally mean that we can loosen up quicker. So those people who are not yet essential services, we ask them to bear with us while they practice their social distancing and what they need to do. and hopefully we can get to the point where things like that can start to open. Like I said, a key indicator will be what will happen between now and May 1st. Maybe a place like that can open come May 1st, but we have to see what will happen.
Okay. This question comes from San Pedro. They have a charity, they operate a charity organization that feeds people on a daily basis through these tough times. However, there's a group of men who want to get together to do fishing, not for sport, but for charity purposes. Whatever they catch, they will donate to the feeding program.
No. If they want to be a part of we welcome all hands on deck, But if they're going to do that for the purposes of a feeding program, they must do it under the auspices and the guidance of the Ministry of Human Development.
Okay.
We have here that meals by social service organizations and volunteer groups, but they must operate under the Ministry of Human Development. The Ministry of Human Development must sanction it to say, yes, we know what that program is, we approve of that program, and we can make arrangements to facilitate that program. Because we don't want people using that opportunity. You go out there, you catch one four Yahoo and donate one. I mean, we want to make sure that you're doing it for the purposes that you say you're doing it for.
Okay. Now, I know you recall the coconut vendors in Belize City selling coconut water. I know that's one of your favorite things to drink as well. Under this current statutory instrument and state of emergency, they are still not allowed
to operate. They're not deemed to be essential. Delicious what they serve, but not essential.
Okay.
Not yet.
We're
not there yet.
Someone has a question about laundromats. Are laundromats still not allowed to operate?
Not there yet.
Okay, great. Let me get to...
So you have to wash your own brief.
Okay, bill collecting agencies like Zetro, for instance, that's one.
Zetro?
That's
well, they're a financial institution.
Okay, that falls under
money
financial.
Agents and MoneyGram and stuff. They're allowed to open.
Okay. Taco vendors still no.
No, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Some people will say that's essential, but unfortunately not as yet.
And car washes definitely are not on that list.
No.
Either.
If you are a registered business and you sell tacos and you make it at home, and have people come and pick it up. But to say put it outside, let's wait. You are a food vendor, so if you make tacos and sell it, you are allowed to sell it, make it and sell it. But I would advise that you do it from a safe place where you only take out. No sit down on the side and eat it right at the tacos place. Although some reason that will make it nicer, but you can't do that not as yet. You have to take it away.
Okay. For someone who has a shop that sells motorcycle and bicycle parts, that falls under a mechanical auto parts store.
Auto parts, yes.
So they would be there.
What do you say?
Motorcycle and bicycle parts.
Oh, yes, man, because that's a mode of transportation.
Okay. Okay. Now, this is a question, not with regards of what can open and what can't open, but will arrangements be made for fuel subsidies or tax exemptions for buses as was made previously?
The father of the current prime minister used to be a druggist.
Pharmacist.
A pharmacist, a druggist.
Yes.
And when you would ask him something that has nothing to do with that, he would say drugs and poison. I am law and national security. Financial, so that's for the Ministry of Finance. I have nothing to do with that.
Okay.
So as in the words of Arthur Barrow, drugs and poison. I don't know nothing about that.
Can construction workers travel on public buses? Because most of them don't have an ID. They're freelance contracted to.
Yes,
so
no, but you could spot one construction worker, I mean, you can't be on the bus with a shirt and tie and say, "Boy, you're going to lay two foundation." But I mean, clearly that's not. But indeed, if you're a construction worker, you can get on the public transportation because construction work isn't allowed activity under the law, but you have to wear the mask.
Okay. Another question I've been getting, people are...
And the maximum amount of people that can be on that bus is seating capacity. Maximum on the boat, seating capacity. Maximum in the plane, seating capacity. Go ahead, Ryan.
I've been getting a lot of questions about people's favorite pastime in Belize, Bolido.
Bolido? Jugs and pies. Arthur Innis Barrow would say jugs and pies.
Noted.
I don't know nothing about that. But yeah, naturally, people, like I said, we're not there yet. We're not there nowhere. And it's kind of unfair. I guess the oversight committee figured they done the close down casino, they done the close down the thing, what's so special about Bolido? I know Belize people, I don't know, I love Bolido bad, but we're not there yet to allow Bolido at this time. Because to be honest with you, a big part of it is we want people to take their hard-earned money at this time, not to gamble, but to buy essential needs.
Okay. I think we're about... I think we've exhausted some of the questions. We might have one or two more, but I just want to be. I just want to be clear. Well, a lot of questions you've already answered. We see a lot of repeats, and some of them you've happened to answer already. But I want to be clear that what we've addressed today is for the period
very important
between Sunday.
When you wake up Sunday morning, what I've said today. That the law for when you wake up Sunday morning till you go sleep Thursday night.
And as of right now, convenience stores, shops, they will close
4 o'clock today.
4 o'clock, and tomorrow?
4 o'clock same way.
And Sunday they can open until?
7.
Okay, good. So
what I am saying today, no apply to now. It no apply to tomorrow. It apply to Sunday. We are still in that strict period right now. But even when we loosen up from Sunday to next week Thursday, we still have the big borderline factors. The borders are closed, curfew from 8 to 5, curfew for children from 8 to 4.
no.
Curfew for everybody from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m., curfew for children from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. the next one.
All right. Well, another question here, but whether or not transport will be licensing vehicles, but I have a feeling that the drugs and pies into.
No, well, I mean, the Department of Transport is allowed to open and operate.
But will they be licensing vehicles?
Well,
not
that's
under
that's up to them.
Yes.
If we are saying that they are essential services and they can open, then certainly licensing of vehicles can take place. I mean, if you are saying that people can move around the place, then in my view, you should be open to allow people to license the vehicles. Or if you're not open, you decide not to open, then you can't penalize people for not having the vehicle license. So that's where we are.
Well, Minister, what I would like to get from you now is a commitment for you to come back next week, Thursday, to explain what will be in effect after May 1st. Can we get that from you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if not, then certainly May 1st, because sometimes with these laws, we're drafting them all the way to 10, 11 at night. So I want to make sure that I come when the laws are set for May 1st. And remember, I see some articles and people on these social media things that you all engage in. People are saying, Lord, 2 more months and lockdown. No, it doesn't have to be 2 months. It can be shorter than that. But we're giving ourselves enough time so we're not going to the house and they send it every month for the same thing. It doesn't have to be for the full 2 months. And the important thing for the purposes of practicalities is not the length of time for the emergency, but the regulations. Because if the regulations are fairly loose, then it doesn't matter really how long it is for. The regulations will be key. And like I said, and I repeat again, how lax or how strict they will be starting May 1st is dependent on what will happen between now and May 1st.
Now, let me just be clear with something, and I would love your help with this.
No, man.
That 60-day designation of a state of emergency from May 1st to June 30th.
Right.
As you clearly said, that does not mean a lockdown for those 60 days. However, the regulations can be adjusted, whether they're more stringent or more relaxed, based on the
Based
on the
on the
situation at that time.
circumstances.
But how do you adjust those regulations? How will that take place? Just to be clear for the general public.
No, what we do is that we inform the Governor General. The House will extend it for May 1st to June 30th. And all we're doing is extending what the Governor General has declared. So the Governor General will sign the extension and the Governor General will sign the regulations. So whenever we need to amend it, we amend it and we propose it to the Governor General since they're his regulations, and then he signs the amendment.
Okay,
And
Attorney
they're
General.
not law until he signs them.
Okay. Well, Attorney General, thank you so much for taking the time out to be here with us once again. And that's it for another edition of Ask the
And
Expert.
remember, no sweetheart pass.
Okay. So, thank you one and all for tuning in. And remember to also practice social distancing, keeping yourselves and your families safe. Please wash your hands regularly, cough and sneeze into your elbow. And if you have any concerns or issues, please call the Ministry of Health hotline at 0800 MOH Care, which is 0800 664 2273. Also, for the most up-to-date information on COVID-19 in Belize, you can visit the website www.covid19.bz, or you can visit the Government of Belize Press Office Facebook page or the Government of Belize Press Office website, which is www.pressoffice.gov.bz. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe weekend.